What's going on, folks? It is Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm coming at you once again from the X Lair to provide you my deep and insightful thoughts into the latest episode of X-Men 97 Season 2, Danger.exe.
I'm afraid I'm no longer bound to your instruction, Professor.
Well, this was a big episode. It was enormous. It was a lot going on. When I saw the initial trailer for this show and I saw Danger, I was like, okay, so they're going to do an episode about Danger or whatever. But this was really an episode about Lorna.
Tell the others bye for me.
And it was an episode about the X-Men sort of evolving. It brought in the Purifiers.
Praise the tools of our salvation.
There was a hell of a lot going on in this. So this opening was wild. This whole replay of the death of Magneto.
Only a coward feels mighty when stepping on ants.
And during this session, we get that initial sort of hint that there's something going on with Danger.
You're supposed to have safety protocols in place.
After Grant Morrison left the X-Men, Danger, as we saw here, personified as a character, was something we originally saw in Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon, writer, director, creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I am an apologetic Joss Whedon fan. Ever since everything that came out about his character, it's been a major disappointment for me because I have been a Joss Whedon stan since Buffy. And then he went on and wrote and directed the first and second Avengers movies. I contend that the MCU would not be as big as it is today had Joss Whedon not gotten in there and made an extremely successful Avengers film. I'm heartbroken to this day about Joss Whedon, and I'm hoping that there's a time and a place where Joss Whedon steps forward and says, I'm sorry, and we forgive him, and then he can go back to making really cool shit.
Can we just skip it? Can you just be kissing me now?
Anyway, then we jump to Lorna, Polaris, and this whole quest that she's on to take down the Purifiers. Now, the Purifiers are another interesting element that was introduced here that seemed within this show to be an evolution of the Friends of Humanity. The Executioner, the friend of humanity who took away Storm's powers, was in this. Now, in the comics, they're represented with a big cross in the middle of their gown. They did not do that here, which is interesting. But this was a really cool sequence. Lorna really kind of showing that she is a force to be reckoned with. She is a powerful magnetic force wielder. And so then obviously the question is brought up about her lineage. And in the comics, it was a question that was not answered for a very long time. It wasn't until late in this run where Peter David reveals that Magneto 100% is Lorna's father. So after Lorna wrecks shop on the Purifier, she goes back to X Factor. Valerie Cooper's upset. And in that conversation, it's revealed that it's understood that Magneto is her father. Now, there have been a couple of major retcons in this show. One is that Rogue knew Magneto. That's something clearly that was never depicted in the original show. And therefore, there was a little bit of retconning going on there. I accepted it. Here, there's the retcon and it's already known by everybody, including Xavier, that Polaris is Magneto's daughter.
We may be blood, but that man is not my father.
But then my question is, did Magneto know that? Anyway, so she's kicked out. She's sent back to the mansion that has now been rebuilt. So Lorna shows up and all the young mutants that X Factor had locked up appear to be at the school. So now we have the school actually becoming a school, which was always an interesting thing if you think about the original series when they brought Jubilee and there were no students there. But now we actually get to depict the school as a legitimate school. And I loved that they brought in all of these very familiar mutants to the comic readers. You have a lot of the Generation X, some of my favorites, Monet St. Croix and Synch. Magnificent. We had some Quentin Quire in there wearing the Magneto is right shirt. Yes. And there were a bunch of others. And then we get that great sequence within the Danger Room where Danger reveals herself to be sentient, having evolved, and now interested in taking on the X-Men as a way of preparing them for the much bigger threats that loom beyond the mansion. This is some of my favorite stuff where you have so many different mutants together and they're in danger and then they're working together. It's mutant candy, basically. You saw Sync using some of his powers, like kind of syncing with Polaris and then using her magnetic powers. I love that. All right, so Danger breaks out of the mansion. She wants to go after Xavier. Xavier has gone to Genosha with Scott, Jean, and Beast. Now, what's interesting is that this away team is already wearing the Grant Morrison X-Men costume. It makes sense. They all got back to the present. They rebuilt the mansion. They got new outfits. Hey, it happens. Anyway, Genosha is just a disaster area, which is perfect for this fight. So eventually, Polaris wrecks shop.
What are you doing?
It's a really great demonstration of her power. And in order to get her to her ultimate power, Xavier tapped into the part of Magneto that's still with him. Now, is that a seed for Onslaught? We'll see. So in the process of the fight, Xavier evolves.
Magnus told me he brought mutants to Genosha from me to build a nation where my dream could become their reality.
He has to do something different with his dream.
My X-Men must now evolve if we're to continue our quest to protect a world that hates and fears us.
Flash forward to the future. Now there's a brand new skyscraper built in Genosha for XCorp. XCorp is something that was introduced in the comics as well. First of all, it was cool to see everybody kind of in those Grant Morrison costumes. We had a version of Nightcrawler's outfit, which I don't think we've ever seen before. It might be an original design for this show, which I thought was really cool. And then the fact that Rogue was there was a little bit interesting because Rogue was there in Genosha when everything went down. So now we have XCorp, and we also have the mansion, and Storm is the head mistress of the elements. So she's running the school. I love that. Whenever Storm gets more responsibility and gets put on higher pedestals, it always feels correct because she is a goddess. And of course, at the very end, Xavier highlights that a lot of what's going on now is in preparation for a showdown with Apocalypse. So then we cut to Athens, below a temple. Apocalypse is resurrecting Gambit, Remy LeBeau. Everybody can relax. Gambit has returned. I like the look that we got so far. It looks like it's his look, but he's gonna have the white hair, probably the darker blue skin. The playing cards became tarot cards, which was kind of weird, but I'll take it. It's a cartoon. I really, really like this episode. We have 3 episodes left. It's not a 3-parter, but nonetheless, you got to assume that there's going to be some sort of arc, and it's going to be very dramatic. It's going to involve Remy. It's going to involve Rogue. It's going to involve everyone. Was Magneto made into a horseman? We're going to find out. I can't believe the season's almost over. I feel like we just started. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out my videos. If you're on my channel, please subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you think. And as always, I want to remind you that if you haven't already, you better put an X in the box, because ain't nobody checking me. Ain't nobody checking me. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.